What's going on, everyone? About to get started in just a minute. Just starting up, getting everything going. I'll put my phone in here. I gotta do it. Really can't find my phone. Okay. Did it fall? There. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, y'all. About to get in some reactions, as always. So, got a couple lined up today. Of course, we're going to be getting to some science videos and some animal videos as always. But first, you got to slide over to hip hop real quick because, as you know, oh man, the Drake case has been shut down. And I have ran across an interesting video that we're going to check out. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Do our opening for reaction videos, of course. What's going on, everyone? All right, what we got up next? Oh man, I know we've all been talking about it. It's been going around in the entire hip hop scene. The Drake case has been shut down. They're probably gonna try to appeal, but as of right now, the Drake case has been shut down. It is wild how this is. I kind of saw it coming like this because I'm like, this whole case was BS in the first place. But yeah, it's over. It's over. At least for now. They're gonna try that appeal, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so we're gonna check out this video. I saw this video and figured it would be an interesting one to check out on this particular topic. From Professor Lex Hip Hop X Animation. Okay, this was called How Timberland and Drake Sold Out the Culture and Destroyed Their Legacies with the Lawsuits and AI Artists. So we know Drake is tagged on both of those AI artists with the whole, Tupac and Snoop thing, and then the lawsuits. Yeah, some selling out type stuff, man. So yeah, let's go ahead and check this video out. We're gonna see what he has to say about this. And I don't wait. What did Timberland do? I missed something on there, so we're gonna find out. Let's go.
All the thoughts and views expressed on this channel are the opinion of Professor Lex, the proprietor of the channel, and are for entertainment purposes only. Thank y'all for tapping in. Let's get started. First things first, if you rock with the channel, hit that like button and hit that hype button if you're on mobile. Swipe right on the comments, hit that hype button for me. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So which of these
let's go ahead and hit that like button.
Is the more
Boom.
sellout move? Which is the more damaging move which artist has ruined their legacy the most?
I would go ahead and say Drake, especially right now and everything. Like, I need to see what the Timberland thing is all about because I honestly don't know, but I'm gonna find out. But yeah, right now I'm just like, yeah, Drake messed up bad. He messed up bad, but let's see.
Is it Timberland with his new AI artist, Tata Talk to Me? I'm guessing that's how you pronounce that. Or was it Drake with the lawsuit, the defamation lawsuit against you?
It was Drake, definitely. Like, okay, is this whole thing just about Timberland using AI? Because I didn't hear about nothing weird like lawsuits or anything. The lawsuit is the bigger issue. Bringing the lawsuit into a rap battle is like the bigger thing. I'm sorry. Like the AI artist thing, that's a huge controversy, but it's nowhere near as bad in the terms of hip hop culture as using as like a lawsuit over a rap battle, in my opinion. So definitely Drake is worse.
UMG over the diss song with Kendrick Lamar. Well, we were having this conversation yesterday. I was having it with a group of people, music people, and my vote at the time was for Drake. But now that I had a chance to think about it and through the discussion, really it's equal. Now I got a poll up about this, so if you got here through the poll,
I don't know if I would say equal because he kind of dabbled in the AI thing too on top of the lawsuit. So yeah, Drake did it worse, in my opinion. Drake did it worse. But I want to hear more about this whole AI thing with because yeah, AI is getting so much controversy, like back and forth. I think it's an awesome tool to use. It's great as an assistant, but I see the problem, in my opinion, is that people are using it for everything, doing all their work. So when you see stuff that's AI, you wonder, did the actual creator have anything to do with this? Did they actually do anything, or did they just put in the prompt and the AI did everything? But then I see other situations where people are doing plenty of work and they're just using AI as an assistant to, take care of a few things here and there that would be frustratingly tougher if they didn't have it. And so in that case, I can definitely understand. So I believe that, AI is not bad, but there's, anything used the wrong way can be bad. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion on it.
you already voted, but if you haven't, go check that poll out in the community tab and cast your vote for which one is more egregious. Is it Timbaland with the AI stuff? Or is it Drake with the lawsuit?
It's Drake. My vote is Drake. Let me know your votes in the comments.
That both of these things were successful because right now Timbaland's getting a lot of backlash and doesn't look like the AI artist is getting any kind of traction at all, rightfully so. And we know that Drake lost the lawsuit. The lawsuit was dismissed, I should say. But before I get started, let's first of all, let's take a look at what exactly is going on with Timbaland and the AI artist and why
yes,
this
I need
is
to know.
really such a problem. It's about much more than AI artists replacing or competing with actual real artists. It's also about how these companies train the AI. Just to quickly go over this first paragraph from this article on this whole thing about AI stealing from all kinds of copyrighted material. This, I believe, came from Fader Magazine by way of Billboard. The International Confederation of Music Publishers has shared a new report accusing tech companies like Google, Microsoft, Meta, OpenAI, and X of training their artificial intelligence systems on music protected by copyright, including acts like the Beatles and Michael Jackson. This is the largest IP theft in human history, ICMP director John Phelan tells Bill.
Now that could be sticky right there. That could be real sticky because on one hand you could say, yeah, you're causing copyright infringement because you're teaching the AI through using music. But on the flip side, AI is built to learn the same way that we learn, through exposure. You show it something, it learns it. That's basically how the human brain works and everything. We need to be exposed to things in order to learn and to grow and such. And so most musicians can't really become musicians without being exposed to music and the music that was already created. So on one hand, you could say, oh, the AI is stealing because it's an object. It's stealing, and they're using, music from all these great artists in order to teach the AI how to make great music. But on the other hand, the defense on that side could say, well, that's how everyone learns. You look at all these artists who say, I was inspired by this person, I was inspired by that person, and then you say, wait, are they guilty of content theft because they learned from the greats as well? I feel like it gets sticky. Like it's hard to tell. Like it's the difference is, are they exempt because they're living beings, and because the AI is software, it's considered stealing because you're plugging it into software, since you can't really like just straight use a wire and plug information into somebody's brain? And are they kind of going to use that argument? I feel like it's like an argument that can go either way, and it'd be hard for either side to really win. It's one of those things that's really difficult. So while they're saying this is copyright and they're stealing, if the AI is not reproducing the exact same music and doing its own original music, that's basically AI mimicking what living artists do all the time. But at the same time, I could see where that could get rub people the wrong way, because as real artists, it's like, we're doing all this work and now you're just teaching this AI just be better than us and everything. So yeah, but definitely both sides have arguments there. So we'll see where this one goes.
Board. That's not hyperbole. We are seeing tens of millions of works being infringed upon daily. Timbaland, coming from the world of production, I understand people get beat by record deals and sign bad deals and then don't know how to protect their money and they want to blame somebody else, but really it's your fault if you don't know how to read contracts and protect your own finances and become financially literate. So you let millions of dollars slip through your fingers and you need a money grab. This is unacceptable though, because this is very treacherous towards everything that has built Timbaland's career, because the replacement wouldn't just stop at music and music artists. Okay, this is what the Actors and Screen Actors Guild was fighting about when they were using their likeness and blending it with AI to make movies and write scripts and the whole nine. They were just going to replace all the actors and the actors.
Well, yeah, you got to regulate the companies, because the companies are always going to try to just replace people, because they would rather make all the money and not pay anybody. That's the corporation's dream. Not to have to pay a single employee and just make all the money, right? That's how these board members and CEOs really feel. So that's no surprise there. And I'm definitely on the side of the Actors Guild, because it's different to be inspired, and the difference between being inspired by something or being taught by something and then recreating something brand new. When it comes down to the Actors Guild and the actors who don't like this, I find they have a more legitimate argument, because it's not about AI creating random people, just making up random people and everything and using them in film as actors and everything, digital people. They're recreating these actual actors' faces and likenesses. They're So that definitely, in my mind, falls into like copyright infringement and infringing on their identity and stuff like that, and taking work away from them that should be paid to them. I feel like if you use AI and use someone, in a production, whatever amount of money that they would have been paid had they been acting, had they actually been there, should go to them. And that would probably solve the whole thing, right? But again, the whole point of using AI for these companies is to not have to pay anybody. So they wouldn't like that either. So on that side, I'm definitely with the actors. It's just like with the music. If they were reproducing the actual songs or using the voices of said musicians, then definitely would be copyright infringement. But if they're making music, good, depending on how you feel about it, good or bad music, and they were just simply taught by all the artists, that's where it gets kind of like muddied and everything. For the actors, definitely, because they're taking their faces and recreating them. So that's definitely an issue right there that needs to be addressed. That should not be allowed without their written permission, consent, and compensation. And compensation. You shouldn't be allowed to use somebody else's likeness in a production without paying them. Period.
Actresses and the writers, producers, etc., and just make films without people, which is just very interesting to think about. The mindset that tries to come up with something like that is a little crazy. Let's just keep it real. But
not crazy, it's greedy. It's all about trying to make all the money and not paying anybody. Like me, I'm an independent dude right here. Any money I make is going directly to me. But if I ended up building this platform into a huge corporation, I would have tons of employees and I'd be paying other people. So for a lot of people, they would like to do what I'm doing now, but at the big corporate level, being one person making all the money, And that's not how it works, and that's not how it should work. And we want to make sure that it doesn't get there, because that would be terrible for the economy, for everything, to let these people make crap tons of money and not have to pay anybody because they're using all of this. And then they'd be paying the people who make the AI stuff, of course, but that would be about it. So no, we can't let that happen. Definitely.
This would go into streamer. You would have AI streamers. You would have AI YouTubers, which we already kind of have, but I'm talking about as far as physical personalities, much like they're trying to do with the video AI and things like that.
Again, with that one, that's a sticky situation too, because are these AI streamers a mimic of a already existing or pre-existing streamer or somebody? Like, when you're not using somebody else's face, when you're not using somebody else's likeness, then you're not doing that much wrong, in my opinion. It's wrong when you start directly taking from people. But after that, it really comes down to the fans. And honestly, most fans are not fans of AI, and so if you can draw an audience with using an AI, that's on the audience, in my opinion. As long as you're not directly stealing from another person, competition is competition. And there's still somebody behind there. It may not be the face of the person that you're watching, but there's still somebody behind there controlling the AI, so it's technically somebody still streaming, if you want to really like split hairs.
So all your news, your political ideas and ideals and coverage could all be coming from one source or a couple of sources through tech companies. That is very dangerous and very bad.
I agree with that too. As far as that goes, no news outlet or anything else, anyone who's, any type of public media that's supposed to be informing the people and portray themselves as such should not be allowed to use AI at all. Not even for funsies, not even for something goofy or random. No, if you're a news outlet of any kind, whether you're, one of the major stations, whether you're a news outlet online, whether you're some neighborhood paper or whatever, I don't care. Whatever level you're at, you should be completely restricted from using AI for anything. Okay, your job does not warrant needing AI. That should be a restriction right there. So that's what I say. I'm a fan of AI because I think it's good in a lot of ways, but I also think it's dangerous in a lot of ways. There's certain ways that it should be restricted, and there's certain ways I believe it shouldn't. So that's where it is. If you're a news outlet of any fashion, you should not be allowed to use AI at all. You should not be able to deliver AI at all, and that should be considered illegal.
And Timbaland, a lot of times they use music and they use our culture especially to try certain things and to get certain things popping and then expand it from there. So this is very egregious, right? And just as egregious as the Drake lawsuit. Why? Because Drake included in the defamation and proof for the defamation, he included YouTubers, he included comments, he included social media posts. And what would that in turn do? That would make not only the social media providers, but also the users have to be conscious of everything that goes on the platform as far as them expressing their opinions about things. If anybody is felt to be defamed by a person's opinion, whether it be through a YouTube video, a social media post, or even responses to the posts and videos in the comments, now the company, the social media provider, the platform would have to limit what you can say. What does that do? That just takes away free speech pretty much, right?
Yeah, and then that's what makes Drake worse, in my opinion. Like the Timbaland thing, I don't know, I wouldn't call that worse than Drake, not by a long shot, because he's participating in something that has a lot of controversy. And it's good if you use it right, it's bad if you use it wrong. What Drake was doing was straight up trying to sue over rap beef and tried to include so much. Like, he was trying to make it to where he wanted this lawsuit to open up the doors to where he could sue anybody for trashing him. That's basically what it was. It showed how sensitive he was, basically. He can't handle being trashed, And so that's way worse. To try and not only sue over the rap battle, that was already enough right there, in my opinion. But the fact that it trickled down to where you were calling out the YouTubers and you were calling out this and that, and it really felt like you were trying to create or change the space to where you be allowed to come down on anybody who basically says fuck Drake. And I'll just say it again, fuck Drake. So on that one, definitely worse. Definitely worse, because now you are intentionally trying to directly interfere with people's careers and people's livelihoods. And so that's not right. That's not right at all. That's why I was never a Drake fan, but I really don't have any respect for him at this point at all,
All because his feelings got hurt in a rap battle. He's going to damage not only battle raps and songwriting in general, but also the response to that and the critique of that across the board. because social media platforms would have to monitor all speech to not only to protect the user from defamation, but to protect themselves from being included in that and allowing that, because that's what Drake did. He didn't sue, quote unquote, Kendrick, the person who he claimed defamed him. He sued the company for reproducing it, which is their job, and putting it out there and distributing it. So both of these gentlemen have pretty much done some of the worst things you can do and participated in some of the worst things you could do against creativity, against independence, against creative expression, freedom of speech, all the things that the arts are supposed to represent. They both.
I'm still a little bit on the fence with Timbaland because he's participating in AI, trying to create an AI artist, which, again, a lot of controversy. Probably not the best idea. People are not really big on that. We don't want to have a full-fledged artificial artist sing to us. We just don't want that. You know, we want real people. If the AI can help them produce better, like music videos or stuff like that, then sure, go for it. But we don't want AI to be the production. We, let it be an assist tool. Use it to do the things that are too difficult to do without it. But still be out there showing your talent, showing your skills. In that sense, I feel like Timbaland may have just, stepped in the wrong direction. He should have been, if he wanted to dabble in AI, used it a little differently. But that still is nowhere near as egregious as literally creating a lawsuit over a rap beef, trying to attack companies and making it trickle down so that you can pretty much kill freedom of speech for the reactors and the commentators and everybody else because you don't like the fact that, you lost a rap battle and you're trying to take away people's freedoms, which trickles down to taking their livelihoods because there's so many people who their livelihoods are through social media because they built businesses around it. So Drake, in my opinion, 100 times scummier than what Timbaland participated in. 100 times scummier. Intentionally scummier. Timbaland was trying something new, seeing if it was a moneymaker. Drake was literally trying to hurt people with this lawsuit. So definitely scummier.
Both in different ways are attacking. Now, whether they realize that or not, I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? Drake's attorneys and the way that they formulated that lawsuit was unnecessary, including as much as they did and including everybody the way that they did. You know what I'm saying? They could have went about that lawsuit in a lot of different ways. First of all, yes, he's a punk for even...
Wait, hold up. Is that one of your thumbnails? I just read that. Paperwork Poppy attacks UMG. I was over here listening to what he had to say. I wasn't really looking at the screen. And I was like, wait a second. That's hilarious. Hilarious.
First of all, yes, he's a punk for even having the idea to file a lawsuit. But, shout out to the OV hoes. Y'all just going to have to accept the fact, and we all are going to have to accept the fact, as most of us have, that as Joe Budden said, Drake is a biatch.
100%.
Degree.
Absolutely.
Right? But to
totally agree.
file a lawsuit
totally agree.
that puts at stake everybody's expression is crazy to me. And whether he understood that's what his lawyers did or not, your name is on the lawsuit. It's in your name. It's your responsibility. Same thing.
And you won the lawsuit. The lawyers can't file nothing without you telling me to do it.
What this is going to lead to. This is a money grab. It's selfish, right? And this happens a lot of time. We see this, I think, happening with Kanye as well. Is these guys' egos are so big that when the art form and the industry starts to kind of leave them behind, they get mad and they lash out. And that's what's happening in both of these situations and many others. That's why I like a lot of the OGs coming back and reestablishing the art forms in their proper place, the way they're supposed to be, in the creativity and the expression and what it's about, putting it back in its proper place. Shout out to Mobb Deep and that new Infinite album. And shout out to Jid for actually having something to say. More artists should have something to say about both of these issues.
Turkish airline ambulance. And I can understand where Jid is at because, again, he's one of the artists. So to him, creating AI is creating competition that really shouldn't be there. And I guess you could say the other scummier thing in this, if you want to take it there, is that whatever money the AI generated artist, I guess Taka Takumi is the name of this character, whatever money that this creation generates, it's not a living being. So the money's not going to go to it. It's going to go to Timbaland. So I guess you could say there's always also the argument of they're making money off of false talent. There's artificial talent, and these guys are making money that they probably shouldn't get because they themselves didn't do anything creative. And Timbaland is a amazingly talented person and everything, so it could definitely seem weird. Like, you're talented, why would you need AI to make money for you? So yeah, I could get that. And like I said, I definitely understand the artists who are basically in the trenches right now, like Jid, to be offended by this 100%. I totally get that. I totally get his position.
Using these situations with these two quote unquote legends of music. Jid had to say Turkish hairline Timbaland strikes again. Talking about in reference to Timbaland launching the AI generated artists and the video. And it's surprising, and I hopefully, as since the case has been dismissed, especially in the bars and in their music, more artists should talk about how egregious it was for Drake to file a lawsuit, and how egregious it is for Timbaland to be making this move with this AI artist. People want to say, oh, it's technology, it's the future. It's really not. It's really not. AI is oversold video game technology, overhyped video game technology, in my opinion. Yes, it can be used as a cool tool, but as far as AI artists and it replacing people and doing things and creating things and forms of expression, it's, first of all, it can't do it without stealing, and it's not necessary.
Okay, well, yeah, I agree and disagree on some points. It's definitely not necessary. The stealing thing is hard to swallow because it can reproduce stuff, and that would make it stolen works at that point. But to use it steals because it learns from the exposure of other creations is the same thing as saying that every new artist steals because they were inspired by an old artist. You know what I'm saying? So that part is kind of weird. It's hard to really argue that one, in my opinion. It's hard to really argue that one because it's behaving like a person. It's an artificial thing that's behaving like a person in terms of how it learns, and it's because we created it. Now, as far as it being the future, some people can argue, no, it's not the future. It's just a fad. It is technically the future, and the reason why that is because all of the big billionaire corporations are investing into it. Understand that our future is pretty much dictated by where the money flows. Technology, in a sense, can go in a bunch of different directions. We could be developing all kinds of different stuff right now instead of focusing on AI. But right now, they're choosing to focus on AI. And AI is becoming more and more advanced, super fast. And so, are we doomed to a future of AI? I don't know. Because you never know. The governments might get tired of it and decide we want a complete shutdown and force all the companies around the world. That would be a crazy major event to see if that was to happen. But I honestly don't see that happening. I feel like world leaders and countries around the world and governments are a little bit more short-sighted, and they would rather try to use the AI to attack each other rather than shut it down completely. In just my opinion on how they normally operate. So rather than shut it down, they'll usually have the mindset of, well, the other guy's definitely going to use it, so I'm going to use it too. That's usually the mindset of other countries when they go back and forth. It's the mindset of, we know they're going to do it, so we're going to do it, whether it's right or wrong, So I doubt that's going to get in the way. So yeah, AI is very much the foreseeable future because the money is going there. The money is going there. They're investing into it. And when it comes down to major companies and billionaires and stuff like that investing into AI or investing into anything, they're expecting that payout. So because they've invested so much, they're not going to allow it to die. Not easy, not without a fight. So where you said it's not the future, it most definitely is because of the current climate of things.
It's not necessary to exist in general. As long as human beings.
And just because something's not necessary to exist doesn't mean that it's not the future. That doesn't mean that that's not what the people in control are pushing for. The people with the money, that's what they're pushing for. So yeah, that's what you're gonna end up dealing with. There's a lot of things that exist because the person with a lot of money decided to push for it and made it happen.
Things have brains and can speak. Let them handle the music, the acting, the political journalism, on writing, all of these things. You know, the cool cartoon generated filters and things like that. That stuff is cool, right? But that's not intelligence, really. The thing is not drawing anything. It's just putting a bunch of filters. And if you know anything about Photoshop and things like that, it's using a bunch of tools that exist in graphic design and creation and putting it to use in an automated fashion. It's more automation. It's more like machine learning. It's more souped up search engines. It's not really a thinking machine or a machine that's reasoning or anything like that.
Yeah, that's because we haven't gotten there yet. AI is not self-aware. In fact, today's AI is still not the AI that we think it is. Today's AI is more of a reproducing learning system where you feed it information and it's be able to spit stuff right back out. But it can't think for itself. You still have to tell it what to do. I don't think I ever want to see an AI that's really like the AI we think about in like movies and stuff like that, where it can think for itself, make decisions on its own without your input. Sometimes some of these reports, I've been reading them and it feels like we're slowly inching there, and I really hope that never happens. The AI we have now, where it just learns and does what we tell it to do, that's exactly what we need. We need to stop it right there. We don't need to try and create an actual like digital person, an actual living being that can think for themselves and make them. No, we don't need that. We don't need that. No, quit trying to replace humanity with something new. Quit doing that. No.
But it's just really a money grab by tech companies. This is a money grab by Timbaland. And I don't even know what Drake was doing with the lawsuit. It was partially a money grab, but it's also partially just him being a bitch. We've already established that. But anyway.
Very much so. Very much
so. Let me know what you think in the comments below, man. If you haven't voted yet, go ahead and vote in that poll if you wish to, or just leave your vote in the comments below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about all this information. Am I being too hard on Timbaland? I know y'all don't think I'm being too hard on Drake, but let me know what you
Definitely. You could stand to be a little harder on Drake, in my opinion. I think I was harder on Drake in this reaction to your video than you were on Drake. You was really all in on Timbaland. I feel like in this video, you were just really offended by Timbaland dabbling in AI and doing AI stuff, that you included him in this video just to drag him. I'm sorry. That's what the video feels like to me. Like you just had some stuff to get off your chest about this whole AI thing, and I get that. I understand that. Like I said, it's controversial. People have different feelings about it. But yeah, Drake definitely is the worst in this situation in comparison. There's no question. Like, it's one thing to dabble in something and, it's, probably not the best thing for you to be messing with, and it gave you some backlash. It's another thing to intentionally mess with people's livelihoods, which is what he did right here. So Drake is definitely worse. He knew what he was doing. There's no question about it.
Do you see any advantages to AI as far as music is concerned, as far as AI artists? I don't personally, but let me know what you think in the comments below, man. Hit that like button if you haven't hit that like button yet. Hit that hype button if you're on mobile. Hit that hype button if you haven't hit that hype button yet. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Share this video.
All right, guys. Yeah, that's it for that one. So, yeah, that was a great video. But, yeah, he was definitely just out for Timbaland. He was just mad at Timbaland for doing AI stuff. I stand by what I said. It was 100% Drake was worse. Drake, I don't know what he's on. Talk about going to probably appeal and stuff like that. Drake is, ill. But, yeah. They're both getting some heat right now, but Drake is definitely worse. 100%. All right, y'all, but y'all know what to do. Go down in the comment section, let me know what y'all thought about this. Leave your comments, let me know who you thought was worse. All right, so leave your comments down below. Like, share, subscribe. If you really want to subscribe to support this platform, consider joining our Patreon. All right, y'all. So, as you know, till next time, take care of yourselves, and I'm out of here. All right, guys, so Drake and Timbaland being bunched up together. That's funny. But all right, let's go ahead and hop on over to our next one. It's time to get into some science videos. All right, let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? All right, welcome back to the spot. We kick back and react to all kind of different things. All right, next video we got up for today, we're about to check out some Star Talk. Neil deGrasse Tyson is about to try and teach Chuck Nice something. Let's see how this goes. Okay, now name of the video is Neil tries to teach Chuck obscure physics. So this is definitely going to be interesting, probably very funny, and always educational. All right, so let's go ahead and check this out. See how this one goes. Let's go.
Chuck, I got another explainer for you.
There'll be no math, right?
This is all about math.
I'm gonna go.
Because physics and math, they go together.
But tell me about it.
Yeah.
You know, my son, he goes to me just yesterday. Dad, you any good at physics?
Seriously?
I swear to God.
Out the gate, is it because your dad hangs out with Neil deGrasse Tyson? Like, let me just go ahead and ask and see if there's something there. I don't know. He's just shot in the dark. Hey, Dad.
This was last night. And I said to him, son, there's some things you don't ask your father.
Fatherly advice.
Yeah, no.
So, are you ready?
Don't ask me about things that you know I don't know nothing about. Hey, you know what? I feel that, though. My kids do that to me, too. They asked me some question in a subject in high school that I didn't really pay attention to ever in life. And I was like, I don't know nothing about that. I can't help you. I was not the best student.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Physics.
You are just there.
I am.
So, I can assign a coordinate to you,
That's
like
it.
on an x-axis.
All right.
Okay? That's your position
This is my position
in space.
in space.
It's just x.
All right.
Now, you move. Now you're in a different position.
Okay.
It took you a certain amount of time.
Right.
How fast did you move?
Distance times time
This is divided by time.
divided by time. Okay.
Because speed would
Speed
be, meters per second,
Right.
feet per second, miles per hour.
hour, okay.
So those units tell you what happened mathematically.
Right.
So you went a mile and you took an hour. It's 1 mile per hour.
Gotcha.
So you went from just having a position to having speed.
All right.
I need a very strong, I'm with you, because it doesn't get easier from here.
Oh, Jesus.
He's letting him know, like, yeah, this is just the opener. It's about to go crazy.
Here we go. So now we got speed.
A rate is something that is a measurement of something that changes with time.
Right.
That makes intuitive sense. So your speed is the rate of change of your position. So now you're going at a certain speed, and here you're going at a speed, but by here you're going faster. So now there's a rate of change of your...
Wait a minute. The speed. Yeah. Right.
The rate of change of the acceleration, I guess, is what he was thinking of. The speed. Hey, same thing, though.
Because first we had to get to the speed.
That was the rate and change
That's
of
the rate
position.
change of position.
Now you
But
have a
now the
speed.
speed is changing.
Correct.
Because we're going there faster.
So one is the rate and change of position.
Right.
Now it's the rate and change of speed.
Right.
By the way, if your speed didn't change, then it would have just been constant.
Right.
Okay? Your rate of change of speed is your acceleration. So if you keep the same speed the whole distance, your acceleration is 0.
Oh, okay.
If you keep the same position, your speed is 0. And so position changes, speed. Speed changes, acceleration. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Got to add a dimension to this.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, like I said, rate of acceleration. But he just couldn't think of the word in that moment. It happens to all of us.
You ready?
Uh-oh.
Your velocity is your speed in a given direction.
Okay.
So your acceleration is not simply a change in your speed, it's the rate and change of your velocity.
Okay. So my acceleration is not just the speed of change or the rate of change in speed, but it's also the change in my velocity?
Your velocity is speed and direction.
Direction.
Right.
Okay.
Acceleration can be one of two things, or both. It can be the rate of change of your speed,
Right.
or the rate and change of what?
The
The
direction.
direction you're going in. So now, if you're in a car going constant velocity, There is no what? You're not what?
I'm not accelerating.
You're not accelerating. Floor the accelerator pedal. What happens to your body? You feel that.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, because my body.
Your body had the leftover speed from before.
Right. It had to catch up.
It had to catch up.
Right.
So you're doing this until you stabilize at some next speed, and then you can come up like this. Okay.
Right.
Got another one for you. You're driving smoothly, going 30 miles an hour. You got to make a turn. What does your body do? I'm still going 30 miles an hour.
Right.
It's late. It's trying to catch up to the change in velocity as you're changing direction.
But my direction is changing.
Right. But my body is still going in the same direction and has to catch up with that direction. Catch up. Right.
So that is also an acceleration.
Ooh. Yeah.
Acceleration has your body do things like that.
Okay.
I got another one. You ready? You're driving along 30 miles an hour. Slam on the brake.
Oh, boy, that don't sound good.
Now you go from 30 miles an hour to 0. I put on the brake. I'm changing my speed.
Right.
Therefore, what's happening to the car?
Well, the car is decelerating.
That's a word that we give to the public.
Oh.
Okay. It has a negative acceleration.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Would be him to be like super technical. It's not deceleration, it's negative acceleration. Both basically mean the same thing. And it's talking like it's one of those Neo moments where he has to nitpick the little smallest things, because deceleration is in, I don't know if it's in the more advanced textbooks that, but I know in almost like every science book in like elementary school, they'll mention that I dealt with was missing deceleration. Did they remove the word? Did they change it? I don't know. But negative acceleration, deceleration, same thing.
That's a word that we give to the public.
Oh.
Okay. It has a negative acceleration.
Ooh. Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's some physics crap right there.
So they hand you the word deceleration, because that's clear to everybody what that means. But deceleration is an acceleration. It just happens to be a negative.
So wait. So did they make up deceleration because they thought people were too dumb to understand negative acceleration? That's kind of mean. That's kind of mean.
Because that's clear to everybody what that means. But deceleration is an acceleration. It just happens to be a negative.
It's negative acceleration.
Yeah, when you put it all in the equations, the
I see what you're saying. Mathematically, you can't say decelerate.
You put D in front of the number in the thing.
So you got to be negative acceleration.
In the equation, that's how it lands.
That's very cool.
Okay.
Right.
So
okay, that makes more sense. For the purpose of writing the equations, it's negative acceleration. Okay, that makes more sense.
3 ways to accelerate your car. So you can speed up.
I can speed up. Or I could change direction
by doing
turn the car one way or turn the car the other way.
Correct. Third way?
And the third way is I can step on the brake, and that will give me negative acceleration.
Correct. Okay, so we together on this now.
All right, so far.
All right. When you're decelerating smoothly, you'll feel your body just lean forward.
Right.
If you're decelerating smoothly, and then like a ball jumps in front of you and you're worried that there's a kid there, what do you do now?
I'm like, sorry, kid.
No, stop.
No, I'm sorry. Of course, you slam on the brakes harder.
Slam on the brakes. Harder.
Harder, right.
And then what happens to your body?
Oh, man, you fly forward.
Yeah.
But you keep going. Right.
No, but it's
you
jerk
forward. Right.
Okay. What just happened there is a rate of change of the acceleration.
That's very cool.
Okay.
Right.
In that case, it's a rate of change of your deceleration.
Right.
Okay. But a smooth acceleration, you just feel the continuous pressure, either forward, backwards, sideways. And you slow down the car and you jam on the brakes, you jerk forward.
Right.
Okay. There's your position, there's your velocity, there's your acceleration. Your velocity is a rate and change of your position. Your acceleration is a rate of change of your velocity. The jerk is the rate and change of your acceleration.
Wow. That's cool, man.
That's an official term.
That is official
It's the jerk, and it is a jerk.
Right.
You feel it. Let's keep going.
Okay.
What is the rate of change of the jerk? We have hardly any use for this fact, but it doesn't change the reality that there are equations that you can demonstrate this.
Right.
Well, I got you there. Rate and change of position.
Right.
Velocity. Rate and change of velocity. Acceleration.
Rate and
change of acceleration. Jerk.
Right.
Rate and change of jerk. snap. That's kind of what would happen to your neck.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you been injured?
Shout out to the editor for that one. That was great.
Your neck.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you been injured in a recent car accident?
Yeah, because think about it. If you're about to hit something, you put on the brakes, then you realize you're going to hit the thing. So now you put the brakes on harder.
Right.
So you first had the deceleration harder. Now you're going to get the jerk, but you're still going to hit the wall.
Right.
So hitting the wall is a rate and change of your jerk.
Right.
Because you were slowing, you're slamming on the brakes. That still didn't stop you. The wall stopped you.
Right.
Okay. So the rate and change of the jerk is the snap.
Wow.
And let's keep going.
Oh.
Wait, there's something
Rate and
beyond
change of
snap?
the snap. Crackle.
Wait, hold up. Rate and change of crackle is pop. Let's see. I'm saying as a joke, but if he pumps out with that, I'm gonna bust out laughing.
You're making this up now. Let's see.
The rate and change of the crackle.
If he says
Say
pop,
Pop.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
oh man, it was like, no, it can't be. It can't be. But it is. The rate and change goes all the way down to snap, crackle, and pop. I'll never be able to look at cereal the same again. I will never. Hey, what's going on, Saint? Welcome. Oh man, that is hilarious. Oh, I was expecting it, but I was like, please don't let it be. There's no way. There's no way. Please don't let it be. Oh yes, I love Neil deGrasse Tyson too. He is awesome.
Let's see.
The rate and change of the crackle.
He's like,
Don't say
don't say
pop.
pop.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
So you can calculate this, and it's hard. Usually, these lower terms take care of everything you need
Right.
in whatever's your experiment. But
Right.
in principle, this is real.
And you know what's funny that as you're saying this,
Basically, useless facts that continue to exist. You can calculate them, show equations and everything. Most people don't care at the end of the day, but it's fun to think about. It's just the fact that we literally used the cereal. Oh wait, which came first? The terminologies or the cereal? Was the cereal invented by a mathematician or something? By a physics expert? Oh man, now more questions I need answered. Who came first?
it's where we started, which is the beauty of physics, I guess, is that all of these things have mathematical representations.
Mathematical precision.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes.
So we have position, velocity, acceleration. You take me the rest of the way.
Jerk. And then after the jerk is snap.
Snap, crackle,
And
pop.
then after the snap is crackle. And then finally, pop. That's a lawsuit.
It is. Then after that, some cereal and a spoon. Yes. And a little bit of sugar. That stuff is like, you need some sugar in that.
Okay. The pop is just like, I know we friends, but I'm sorry, man. I got to sue you. That was ridiculous.
So there it is. That's my
Snap, crackle,
long.
and pop. Come out of here.
He's so done.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's the fun part of it, 'cause
That's fun, though.
What else? We don't even know what that feels like.
Yeah.
We know what the jerk feels like,
Right.
And the decelerations and accelerations.
But you can mathematically work out all of those
All of
different things. That's very cool.
And each one is a rate of change of the other.
And right now, I'm sure, because our audience is so nerdy that somebody's like, okay, let me figure it out. Right now.
And just to really, go deep on this nerdness.
I'm not that nerdy. Actually, no, I'm just not that smart. If I could do equations on the fly like that, I probably would.
Uh-huh.
Each step I took there
Uh-huh.
is the next derivative with respect to time of that quantity in calculus.
That's cool.
Okay? So the first derivative of your position is velocity.
Right.
The first derivative of velocity is acceleration. Or the second derivative of position is acceleration.
Right.
And each of these is a derivative, is the rate of change of. You just take it all the way
through.
all the way.
That's cool.
all the way.
Oh, math. Is there anything you can't do?
So that's it. That's all. It was a snap, crackle, and pop.
I like Snap, Crackle, Pop. That was fun.
All right.
That's pretty cool, man.
You got it.
That's pretty cool.
That's another explainer in this Star Talkiverse. Thanks for being there, Chuck.
Always a pleasure.
All right. Until next time, keep looking up.
You know, the universe.
All right. That was great. That was a great explainer. I always love those. All right. Oh, man. Snap, Crackle, Pop. Oh, I'm in tears behind that one. That was too good. I'm over here watering up like, wow. But all right, y'all. Y'all know what to do. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what y'all thought about this one. And let me know what you'd like to see me react to next. Hit that like button before you go. Share this video with everyone you know. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you really feel like supporting this platform, consider joining our Patreon. All right? So, till next time, take care of yourselves. And I'm out of here. All right. So, yeah, I did have a couple other reactions lined up, as I normally do. But Saint Just 888 put in a request. More Neil deGrasse Tyson. So, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Kurzweil. Okay. Said made 2 videos interviewing him. So we could check out one of those. Got like a little bit of time before I close out. I'm not gonna be out for a long time today. Let's see. Oh, these guys are buddies. They got a bunch of videos together. Okay, so is this like an interview? Let me see. Let's see how long it is. He has a bunch of videos with you. Is there a specific one? Could you just said interviewing Ray? But I would expect that there's a specific one you want to check out. Because I'm seeing like, let me see. Yeah, one right here from 9 years ago. So is there a specific name to it or a timestamp? And another one from 8 years ago. Like, these guys are buddies. Okay, from 2 years ago. Ooh, this is like 48 minutes long. This is a huge one. Okay, that's definitely going to be more than an hour long for a reaction. It says, okay, so we're not going to do that one now, but I'm going to bookmark that one. You know what? Monday, when I open up my Monday stream, this is going to be the one that I do. So I'm going to start at 10:30, which I normally do, 10:30 Pacific Standard Time. So we'll do that one then. All right. Well, actually, no. Oh, crap. Nah, I can't do that Monday. No. I will be streaming Monday. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Monday we will be doing this. Monday we'll bookmark this one for that. All right. And then for now, we'll give another one that's shorter, because I saw another one on here. Yeah, we'll do the one from 9 years ago, Singularity Year. Let's see what this is talking about. All right, let's open this up. So yeah, Monday I'm starting at about 10:30, which is yeah, well, I'm trying to set up for my normal timeline. I'm still working out my timeline because life is busy, but yeah, we'll do it then. All right, so let's get into this one, and we'll close this one out. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the spot where we kick back and react to all kind of different things. All right, what we got going on today? We're about to check out some Neil deGrasse Tyson. This one is Neil deGrasse Tyson with Ray Kurzweil. I hope I'm saying that right. It's called Singularity Year. Let's see what they got about this one, see what they're talking about. Let's go.
And today's guest is the one, the only, Ray Kurzweil. He's an author. He's
Kurzweil, okay.
He's an innovator, and this is our conversation. Ray, welcome to the show.
Great to be with you, Neil.
Yeah, so let me just up front say I'm probably your biggest skeptic, just so you know. That's what you got. So you ready for this?
You're probably not the biggest.
So
he's like that. I'm running some people. You're probably not the biggest.
Pretend like we're just at a bar, just arguing. First, I'm angry with you for taking our word singularity. That word had a perfectly good use, perfectly fine definition. It's what happens at the beginning of the universe and in the center of a black hole, and you had to go up and name it something else.
Yeah, well, John von Neumann actually came up with that.
Okay.
He said history is approaching a singularity because progress is accelerating at an exponential pace, and it's going to reach a point where progress is so fast it's going to be a singularity in history.
This is John von Neumann, the computer,
Yeah.
computing pioneer.
Yeah, he invented the architecture that all computers use today. Although actually Babbage invented it a century earlier, but John von Neumann,
The Babbage, it was a machine he invented. You know?
Babbage created a mechanical computer that never actually worked, but it actually had the architecture we use today. John von Neumann derived it independently a century later.
So what's your background, actually? Just so I get some.
I love that how that works. One person gets so close and doesn't get there. He probably died thinking it was a failure too, because he built the machine that technically didn't work, but it had all the fundamentals for what we use today. And a century later, another guy comes in, figures out what was the little pieces, puts it together, makes it work. Man, it makes you wonder, man. It's like if Duke can know, a century later that somebody would figure it out.
Sense of this.
Well, I decided I was going to be an inventor when I was 5. Discovered the computer when I was 12. Not so amazing for 12-year-olds today, but there were only like 12 computers in all of New York City.
You're a native New Yorker?
When I was 12, yeah. I was actually...
So I have to ask you what high school you went to. I have to ask you.
Martin Van Buren High School.
Martin
But it
Van
was
Buren.
actually IBM 1620 at Flower and Fifth Avenue Hospital in Spanish Harlem, which I had the midnight to 8 a.m. shift.
As a what?
I was programming.
So you were a computer person for the hospital on that computer.
Yeah, in fact, I created the statistical tests that we use to evaluate the Head Start program,
Oh, wow. Okay.
like analyses of variance and so on.
Wow. So you go way back.
Yeah, well, it's only 50 years.
Okay. You go way back in a human lifetime, not in a cosmological time scale. So at what point, you wrote a book called The Singularity. It was,
The singularity is
back in
near.
This is what, like, cult leaders, the end is near.
well,
Back in 2006, you write this book.
It is a play on the end is near.
Okay. What did you predict at that time?
Well, actually, going back to a book I wrote in the 1990s, The Age of Spiritual Machines, I predicted that
The age of spiritual machines.
Yeah.
Okay.
by 2029, computers would have all of the intellectual and emotional capabilities of humans, and so they would be spiritual machines. And conversely, we are spiritual machines because our brains are composed of 300 million modules that recognize patterns. Each of those modules has 100 neurons. Those neurons have ion channels and dendrites and axons, and basically you can describe, based on physics, which you know
The
a lot about,
electrochemical pathways.
how they work, and we can actually model them, and we are modeling and simulating the brain today, and they are, so each neuron is a machine. Very few people would disagree with that. Well, then,
There's a lot of people who would disagree with that. Anybody who's religious would disagree with that, really. But I see where he's coming from. To say that machines could end up having, let's say, emotions and such, that's something that's been dabbled in media all the time. Just look at, like, even older stuff, like classic stuff, like Ghost in the Shell and such. I think people kind of talk themselves into the idea that a machine could never have emotion when we can program emotions into a machine. In fact, if you think about it, our emotions are just a certain type of programming that is non-linear in a sense. And I say that because you get one person who has an emotional response one way to something, and the next person has a completely different emotional response. If you were to get two computers who had the same programming, you would expect their response to be the exact same. So for us, it's more of a non-linear kind of thing. We are machines, but we are far more complex than computers at this point because of the fact that we still haven't figured out everything that makes us tick. There's so much randomness in us. But we've seen that. We see that in video games where you can have characters that are meant to act like, like the AI girlfriends and stuff like that, who have certain emotional responses programmed in. Now they're programmed in, so you have to put certain triggers there, but most of that is done because these are developers trying to cater to their audience. What happens when you take it a step further and say, forget the audience, I'm just going to program series of emotions that will evolve over time, and this person, this creation will have different responses and will evolve their responses through a learning system as it goes on. At that point, you basically have artificial emotions right there that's no different from human emotions. So yeah, everything about us is a programming, including our emotions. Some people think that the emotions is what bridges the gap between us and machines, but couldn't be further from the truth. Emotions is something that can be manipulated just as easy as a computer programming. So there's no reason that you wouldn't be able to program all the emotions of a human being into a computer of some sorts.
The 30 billion neurons in our neocortex is a machine also. And actually, we can understand it. My most recent book, How to Create a Mind, talks about how that machine works.
It sounds diabolical. How to create a mind. What's going on in your basement? Tell me.
Well, we are understanding how human intelligence works. I mean, these things are brain extenders already.
Yeah.
We are
the smartphone that you point to.
Our brain is already expanded in the cloud. We're smarter as a result. We'll directly connect our neocortex in the 2030s.
Wait, let me.
Well, the last time we did that was 2 million years ago when we went from primates to humanoids, and we got these large foreheads. And we had the frontal cortex, which is where we do language and art and science and physics and radio shows. No other species does that. But it's not qualitatively different. The frontal cortex is actually was just an additional quantity of neocortex. The neocortex is organized in a hierarchy, and we took that additional neocortex and put it at the top of the hierarchy. And as you go up the hierarchy, things get more abstract. So things like music and poetry exist at the top of the neocortical hierarchy. And we're going to add to it again by connecting our neocortex to the cloud and to synthetic neocortex and expanding it the way we did 2 million years ago, except this time it won't be limited by a fixed enclosure. We'll be able to expand it without a limit.
What's the difference between extending the power of your brain through some connection into silicon-based intelligence versus just having access on your hip to all of that extra knowledge and intelligence?
I think there's no substantial difference. I mean, I think this is a brain extender.
Because people talk about, finding...
The difference is not frying your brain. This is some Matrix type stuff. I think because the Matrix exists, no one would ever opt to plugging anything into their brain, So yeah, keep all the information on your hip, in your pocket, through your phone. That's good enough. We don't need to plug anything anywhere. But it's interesting to think about, like, would you opt for that? Would there be anybody who would opt for plugging themselves into a machine? I guess if you were that much of a Matrix fan and you wanted to experience it for yourself, you probably would. But most people probably would not. Not to mention, I'm like, how do you even go through that procedure? It sounds excruciatingly painful. But yeah, information right there on your hip. Now, when you're talking about, the part of our brains that stimulates curiosity, the reason why we dabble in different things and everything, that's just like I was talking about with AI. Like, who's to say that, like, it's not to say that we can't, we definitely can program a level of curiosity into an AI system or any type of computer system to make it want to explore and learn more. That's pretty much one of the things. Well, I wouldn't be that first person or early adapter, but at some point, you're like, once they get to a point where it's safe, where it's like, okay, We've had like a couple thousand, couple million test runs and everything. Now we have a whole system, plug and play, jump into our world. At that point, it's like, okay, let's do it. You're like, I don't want to be stage one Matrix experiment. No, no. My name is not Neo.
Some USB port into your.
Well, the scenario I think that is realistic is computers are getting smaller and smaller. We'll have nanorobots at the size of blood cells that have computers in them that go into the brain through the capillaries and communicate with our neurons. We already know how to do that. You know, people with Parkinson's disease already have computer connections into their brain. That will communicate wirelessly to the cloud. You know, this computer on my hip communicates wirelessly to the cloud. It can multiply itself 10,000-fold by accessing thousands of computers when we need them in the cloud. It can access millions of computers of information. So a kid in Africa with a smartphone is accessing all of human knowledge with a few keystrokes by connecting wirelessly to the cloud.
But then why invoke the brain-machine connection at that point? Who cares? You got the machine.
Because it's a much faster interface. I mean, our fingers are very slow compared to. We could have.
I guess also think about, you know what? Think about the old people as well. Think about old people who can't figure out technology, or is like, what do I push? What do I push? Just plug their brains into it. Let them go about their business. Problem solved. Hey, what about retirement plan? You're not doing nothing else for the rest of your life. You're just trying to live out your golden years, but you don't want to be like rocking in a chair, like staring out into a field. Plug your brain into the Matrix. Have fun. Do whatever you want. You can even be young again for the rest of your years. You've got an old, wrinkly sack on the couch, but it's a young, vibrant you walking around in the Matrix world, right? Once they get it right. Once they do all the testing. Then send all the old people there. It'd be so easy. It'd be an answer to so many headaches.
Millions of.
I didn't know the world was going too slowly for you. You want to speed it up. Okay.
Well, it is. I mean, how long does it take you to read? You know,
to read and write?
The Brothers Karamazov. It takes months.
So you're suggesting that you can get these.
Bro wants the Matrix. He wants the Matrix. Like how long? He wants to be able to plug a wire in his head, download whatever it is, and then go about his business. He doesn't want to read a book. He wants to upload the book into his brain and just be like, there, it's done. I know the entire book. That's it. Wouldn't that take the fun out of it a little bit though? You get all the information, but I'm like, when it comes down to fictional books and everything, wouldn't that take the fun out of it? Like for me, some of the fun is reaching the point in the book as I'm reading through it slowly and just taking it all in and getting to moments that just wow me. Would that mess that up? Or would you still have those moments? It's just that in reality it happens like this, but in your brain you go through all the process. How will we handle that? So many questions. So many questions.
Your neurosynapses, let's say, and one will be preloaded with War and Peace, the novel, and would somehow injected into your neurosynaptic memory banks, and then you're done. You've got it. Just like in the Matrix, they would load memory programs into you.
We will connect to neocortical hierarchies in the cloud.
Oh, you know what that would alleviate though? Testing. Well, I mean, we probably would have to test just to make sure people got the information right, but you wouldn't have to go to school anymore. The whole point of going to school is so that they can repeat information so you can finally memorize it. But if you can just upload it into your brain, school no longer needs to exist. Teachers out of a job everywhere because they can upload everything they need right there. All you gotta do is just test them to make sure that their brain was able to stabilize and retain the knowledge. Become a fighter pilot overnight. Become a professional chemist overnight. Not even overnight, within a few moments, depending on how long it takes for the information to upload. I feel like for our brains and for all of that, it won't be as instant. It'll definitely be faster than learning in a classroom. Probably take a day. Maybe. I'm thinking like a day.
Well, that could have preloaded knowledge. We could communicate with each other more intimately that way. But basically, we'll expand the size of our neocortex. And that's, what's the difference between a mouse and a primate is the primate has more neocortex. It's therefore smarter, can master more levels of abstraction. And when we got these large foreheads becoming humanoids, we had more, and that was the enabling factor for us to invent language.
So the wireless cloud becomes the growth of our neocortex.
Right.
Into the next dimension.
We'll have the opportunity again to grow our neocortex. And once again, we'll put that additional neocortex at the top of the hierarchy. And as you go up the hierarchy, the level of abstraction gets greater. So music and art and poetry and radio programs all exist at the top of that hierarchy. At the bottom of the hierarchy, I can tell that that rug on the floor is a straight line and very simple things like that. It's the top of the hierarchy where the interesting things happen. And we have not been able to expand it for 2 million years because we have this fixed enclosure. That was very
And
clever.
our heads are not getting bigger because you kill the mother being born, and it's a bloody mess. So I think we've maximized the size of our head.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Given the
In
size
fact,
of the birth
and
canal.
that's the reason that we've not been able to expand it anymore. In fact, it was quite a challenge to expand it 2 million years ago.
Even to what we have today.
Yeah.
So why the precision in your prediction, 2029? That sounds audaciously precise.
Well, there's one thing that's surprising.
I know, like at this point, we're only like 4 years away. So get ready, get ready to plug in.
Which is the pace of the exponential growth of information technology. The price, performance, and capacity of information technologies like computation, communication, now biological technologies like sequencing and also simulating biological processes, the amount of data we're getting on the brain, many different measures, not of everything, but of information technology, follow amazingly precise trajectories. And
Growth trajectories.
right, and they're exponential. So I mean, I was looking, actually it was 1981, I realized that timing was critical to being successful as an inventor. It's also true for anything else you might want to do, doing physics or romance. I mean, you got to be in the right place with the right idea at the right time. So I started with the common wisdom that you cannot predict the future, and I made a surprising discovery. Lots of things are unpredictable, but if you look at the price, performance, and capacity of information technology, like, for example, the price performance of computing, calculations per second per constant dollar, it follows an amazingly predictable trajectory, going back to the 1890 American census. And so I actually projected out those curves that I had in 1981. I had them through 1980, through 2050. We're now in 2015. It's been more than 30 years later. And it's exactly where it should be.
You're on the line.
So that aspect of the future is amazingly predictable. I predicted we'd need search engines in the late 1990s. I made that prediction in the early 80s.
Basically, if you come up with a system that has levels of predictability, then you can predict the future to an extent based on the information gathered. But you can't just flat out just predict the future just blindly. You need to have data and information about repeated processes, and things like that in order to be able to give an estimated prediction that may or may not end up being true, but has a high probability of being true. But you still can't just predict the future flat out.
So the ARPANET, the predecessor to the internet, expanding exponentially.
One of the great jokes that was only a joke for 6 months was the internet is the world's greatest library, except all the books are scattered on the floor. That was before search engines came in. And within a couple of years, search engines came, and now that reference doesn't even work.
Right. Well, I saw that we did have a need in the late 1990s for search engines because there'd be so much knowledge on the web that we couldn't find anything. And we'd have the computation and communication resources to do a good job with that. What I was not able to predict, and what we can't predict, is that of the 50 projects to do that, it'd be these couple of kids in a Stanford dorm who would take over the world of search. So not everything's predictable.
This would be Google, yeah.
I wouldn't have to work very hard.
Exactly. Not everything's predictable. Like, you was able to predict that, yeah, we're going to figure this out. Like, it's got some kind of search function or whatever. You could not predict who was going to figure that out. That's the difference. The levels of probability dictated that somebody was going to figure this part out and get us to the next step. Who, though? There was no way to predict that. No way to predict that.
I had made that prediction. She took my first job ever, at least for a company I didn't start myself.
I was wondering if you actually ever had a stable job. Or are you just riding on your...
Well, that's a stable job for a pretty unusual company. Yeah. This aspect of the future is very predictable. If you measure the capacity and price performance of these different information technologies, computation, communication, biological technologies, technologies having to do with the brain, they follow these very predictable trajectories. One of the reasons you might be skeptical is it's not intuitive. Our intuition is linear. And so the difference between myself and my skeptics or critics is we're both looking at the same present, and people then apply their linear intuition about the future. I mean, if you wonder...
No, I can think exponentially. I'm skeptical for different reasons than that, but go on. I'll get there.
Well, you know,
I'm not. You're not
if you,
gonna get a
if you
free
wonder
pass here.
why we have a brain, it's to predict the future. But the kind of challenges we had, 50,000 years ago, when our brains were evolving, were linear ones.
We have no exponential training at all.
We
I
track
got
an
you.
animal in the field, and we don't expect it to speed up as it goes along. We expect it to go at a constant pace. That worked very well. That became hardwired in our brains. That's our intuition about the future.
Exactly. So at a base level, you learn something, you learn how it operates. Then, at a sense, you're technically predicting the future because you know what the limits are and what that thing is capable of doing and what it's prone to doing. You know, it's like rub two sticks together at the correctly, and you'll get smoke and eventually start a fire. And then once that was learned, then you can go and do that, and it's technically knowing the future. You know that, hey, do this correctly, it's gonna give us some fire. You know how fast a certain animal is that you want to capture and eat and everything, and you know not only how fast they are, but their actual like habits and how they'll move. If they'll try to dodge, or if they'll go in a straight line, or if they'll charge at you, or if they'll run away, and what spooks them. And by knowing those things, you can calculate and predict how you're gonna capture them, and basically know the foreseeable future because you know what to do in that instant. A type of knowing the future in a sense because of repeated practice and information, the way we learned and everything. But that's still at the base, very small level. And then as things get tougher and things get more complex, we can, if we're smart enough, we can figure those things out. But again, there's still limitations. We can't just see the future or know what's going to happen. We need information from events that have already passed in order to be able to apply that information to the future, in order to get a probability on what should happen.
And a linear progression, that's our intuition, goes 1, 2, 3. An exponential one, that's the reality of information technology, is 1, 2, 4. It doesn't sound that different, except by the time you get to step 30, the linear progression, our intuition is at 30, the exponential one is at 1 billion. It makes it very
Proud of
profound.
me for knowing that? 2 to the 30th is 1 billion. I got that.
That's good. It's good to know.
I know, I got you on that. My skepticism comes from a different place.
Okay.
But so here you go. So you're right on the curve as time goes on. This gives you confidence in your modeling. And so now you say 2029, what happens?
Well, actually, somewhat before that, we'll have the computational capacity to functionally simulate the human brain. So that's a whole discussion of what is the capacity of the human brain.
We're technically about there now, yeah, with AI systems and how smarter computers are becoming and all the information that we're pointing to them, all the money that's being poured into all these new systems and everything. Our computers are starting to simulate the human brain in a lot of ways, especially with how ChatGPT functions. That thing, when you use it for whatever you're using it, it'd be trying to have like an actual human conversation with you, which creeps some people out. But if you understand, technology and how it's being designed and stuff, it's really not all that creepy. It's just, this is just how they designed it, and this doing what it's supposed to do. But yeah, we are pretty much there right now. So with this being 2025, are we really 4 years away from being plugged in? Next year, we're going to hear about the surgical procedures. Yeah, leave me out of it. I'll wait until 2040. I'll wait until I'm an old man. Just plug me in for my golden years.
And then there's actually been derivations using different methodologies, all of which come to the same result. It's about 10 to the 14th calculations per second to functionally simulate the brain. That doesn't mean simulating every molecule. It means basically...
10 to the 14th is a huge number. That's huge.
It's pretty big. I mean, our supercomputers now surpass that. They're up to 10 to the 16th, 10 to the 17th. But we'll have...
I guess in our own, when you're sitting there just watching the ball game, you're not thinking you're going through 10 to the 14th calculations or thoughts per second.
It's all happening simultaneously.
Yeah. It's not an active thought that our brain is that active. That's all.
Well, it does have tremendous capacity, but it's also limited. We have these 300 million pattern recognition modules in our neocortex, and that's a lot from one perspective. That was enough for humans to invent music. I mean, no other animal can keep a beat. No other animal.
Some
has...
humans can't either. Just to be clear.
I've met a couple who.
Okay. Well, asterisk to that. Animals can definitely feel a beat and move to it, but yeah, no animal has ever created a beat, a rhythmic beat, a repetitive rhythmic beat. I think that's the real thing. Repetitive rhythmic beat. There's a lot of birds out there that sing and animals that make different noises and music that is actually quite pleasant, but it's not a repetitive rhythmic beat. It's not something that repeats in the sequence and sets up the structure for an actual song and lyrics and stuff like that. Something that's structured and complex and everything. They're not doing that, but they're definitely making music. They definitely recognized repetitive beats because we see animals dancing to these repetitive beats. So it's speaking to them. Makes you wonder, are we inadvertently teaching different animals? Because we look at like crows and some cats and some dogs and everything that's figuring it out, even some primates that you see that's figuring it out. Are we inadvertently teaching them how to understand these repetitive beats? Are we pushing along their evolution by exposing them to what we figured out? Who knows?
But it's also
all I know is that I hope I'm still alive to see the first gorilla on the drums, like really killing it. I want to be here for that one.
limited. We have expanded it to some extent by connecting, at least indirectly, with devices.
Right. So you project to the future, some point where computational ability and storage.
Well, computation's one side of the question. The other is the software side. That's a more complicated analysis, but our information about how the brain works is also growing exponentially. The spatial resolution of non-invasive scanning is doubling every year. And a lot of people say, well, it's so complicated because there's billions of different connections, ignoring the fact that there's a lot of repetition and redundancy. There's actually 300 million modules, and they all work pretty much the same way. The neocortex, people thought, oh, that must be very different because that does art and poetry, compared to, let's say, V1, which can tell that there's a straight line in front of me. But it actually turns out to be the same algorithm. But they're organized in a hierarchy, and we put that additional neocortex capacity into the top of the hierarchy.
So it's like not a different structure, just a different purpose or a different job given to it. It's like having two computers, and in this situation, like me, I have one computer that I dedicate for streaming and everything, and another computer that I use for green screen recordings. They both have pretty much the same hardware inside them, same stuff, but they're serving two different purposes and doing two different things. So that's pretty much what we're dealing with right here. It's not the fact that our cortex is vastly different from the rest of our brain, it's just that it's covering a different task.
And there are descriptions today. I have one in my book, How to Create a Mind, of roughly functionally how the human brain works, how the neocortex works. That's where we do our thinking. We're going to refine that as we get more and more information about the brain.
What's the downside?
So we're going to keep moving in that direction. And I believe we can have a world that's essentially free of poverty, where disease has been greatly reduced.
Not until we get past the greed of humanity. We could be past poverty right now, if we didn't have so many people that were greedy. And how many times you hear this rhetoric throughout, we don't owe them nothing, make them work for it. They don't care. They're not us, We still haven't gotten past that animalistic instinct of, tribalism. You stay on your side, I stay on mine kind of mentality and everything. The world is not in a state we want to help each other. So poverty is a bigger problem that's not going to be resolved just because we advance with computer. I can even see even newer, stranger prejudices being invented as this thing comes along, because that is something that is sadly human nature. So yeah, I don't see that changing until we as a species change. It doesn't matter about the technology. We as a species have to change before that problem gets fixed.
Clean up the environment, have plentiful resources in terms of energy and food. Mm-hmm. The downside is, there's lots of movies about the downside.
I don't need you to tell me about what the movies do. All right.
Where, the AI is trying to destroy humanity, and it's the humans against the artificial intelligence or the robots. Or it's two groups of humans fighting for control of the AI. One thing that gives me comfort is we don't have one or two AIs in the world. We have 2 or 3 billion AIs. A smartphone is an artificial intelligence. It's in fact very intelligent, and it accesses the cloud and makes it even more intelligent.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like the AI we have now and everything, people are really freaking out over that, but different forms of AI, like a lot of people don't realize, even your calculator is a type of AI. It's literally doing what you tell it to do, but it's solving the problem for you at the end of the day. You put the problem in, it solves it. It's an AI doing a job for you. So we've had AI at its very basic, primitive levels for the longest time. People are more afraid of the advancements of AI, and they're fearing where it can go. I don't think we're going to end up in like a Matrix or Terminator type situation. although it's not impossible. But I don't think that's what's gonna happen and everything. I feel like the movies have done a good enough job to make society paranoid of that reality to where we're going to do everything to avoid that happening. But it doesn't mean that everything is going to be all nice and great either. There definitely going to be some hiccups along the way. But yeah, AI, we've had AI, I've been utilizing AI for the longest time without even realizing it.
It's in billions of hands. People say, oh, well, only the wealthy are going to have these technologies that Kurzweil talks about. And I say, yeah, like smartphones, where you in fact had to be wealthy to have a phone, a mobile phone. It wasn't very smart, 20 years ago. And it didn't work.
Only the cool people had mobile phones, like Gecko in Wall Street. There's the famous scene where he's walking on the beach and he's got that sort of shoulder-mounted mobile phone. And I remember seeing that. Wow, that's really cool. He's so rich and he can just walk down the beach.
The backpack, the backpack payphones.
They can do a million things, and they work.
It's just incidentally a phone, right?
And there's billions of them. And there'll be.
So what of all this talk, whether or not you initiated it, about uploading one's brain to a computer and then the computer becomes you? What do I make of this talk?
Well, that's not really the scenario I think will happen. We've already talked about how we're going to connect to artificial intelligence. Now, we do that mostly indirectly. There are a few people that have computers connected in their brains, like Parkinson's patients, but for the most part, they're not inside our brains, but they may as well be.
So what do you predict will happen in society the day that occurs?
Well, it's not one day. I mean, first of all...
Of course it's not a day, but just...
the predictions I made for today, 30 years ago, people thought were totally ridiculous. Now that it's here, we can't imagine that it ever wasn't the case. Did we ever have a time where there wasn't social networks and mobile devices where you could access all of this knowledge and each other and so on? That was only a few years ago. And so by the time these things happen, we actually get used to them and they become ubiquitous very quickly, and we forget that it ever wasn't the case. I mean, you can now talk to your computer and ask it questions in natural language.
But that also has to do with the new generations and how long we actually live, because truth be told, we have a whole generation of people who have never known what it's like to not have a cell phone because they didn't live during that time. They didn't exist during that time. Think about it. We're in 2025 right now. And so anybody who was born in 2005 is now 20 years old. Think about that. So they've never known any life without technology. And so it's easy for people to get comfortable, because it's not to say that you yourself lived all these years and then you just forgot about the past. No, where the generations move on, and now in society, most people didn't live that past. We got people from my era who, grew up seeing the transition. I was a kid and we just had like TV and stuff. Teenager, we're seeing the wave of the internet. By the time in my 20s, YouTube is just now getting off the ground and stuff and things like that. So I was around to see the transition and everything. So, but I still wasn't just living during a time when we didn't have any of it. I was seeing it grow. So by the time we get to this the current generation, they didn't even see the growth. They just saw what it is and its continuous growth and everything. So that's how we get so comfortable with the changes and feel like they were always here. Like, was there ever a time we didn't have this? Because for a lot of people, no, there was never a time where they didn't have this, because they didn't even live back then. For humanity as a whole, definitely, this is just a speck in time for humanity as a whole. But for the individual, for most individuals, this has been their entire life.
The thing is, when these capabilities emerge, they're kind of clunky and they don't work very well, so people dismiss it saying, well, it doesn't really work. Then by the time it does work well, people say, well, it's been doing that for a long time. It's nothing new. And so it kind of creeps up on us. Computers, we're going to be talking to them and they're going to get...
I feel like it mostly creeps up on the older audience, specifically the people among whichever generation that does not pay attention to the world around them. Because we get a lot of people who get just in their bubble and they just live their lives. And then one day they look around the world and be like, what happened to the world? Yeah, you weren't paying attention. And so we have a lot of people who... they saw the beginnings of technology with like earlier things, like the first walkie-talkies, the first computer and everything and stuff like that. And they ignored this stuff. Some people would just call it a fad that was just going to come and go and disappear and everything. And now it's running the world. And so you get a lot of people who feel like, oh, What happened? How did this happen? Oh, you would know how it happened if you'd have woke up and paid attention and not lived in your bubble. That's how I feel, because I almost got trapped in my own bubble, and then one day I looked around and was like, you know what, the world's progressing without me. I need to get back on it. Yeah, I'm not going to be stuck in a bubble. I'm not going to be one of those grumpy old men that don't know what's going on in the world. You know, so there's a level of personal responsibility that goes on with keeping yourself aware. So when it comes down to people who were like, it just creeped up on me, it just passed me by. No, that was lack of awareness. You weren't really paying attention to what's going on in the world.
More and more sophisticated, and very gradually they'll become more and more human-like, to a point where they're really indistinguishable. And so, 100,000 years ago, we couldn't reach that fruit at that higher branch, so we invented a tool that extended our physical reach. And then we invented tools that expanded our muscles, and we could create pyramids and great buildings. Now we can access all of human knowledge with a few keystrokes. We're always expanding our reach. That's actually what's unique about humans.
And I remain fearless of that, because when you look at machines replacing, in the Industrial Revolution, replacing physical labor, and you look at computers replacing computational labor, the day we lost to Deep Blue in chess, our best chess player loses to a computer at a game that we invent. And then our best Jeopardy player loses
that was more
to
significant,
Watson.
Because that was language. Jeopardy got this correct.
Language and cultural knowledge.
Yeah, Jeopardy got this query correct in the rhyme category. A long, tiresome speech delivered by a frothy pie topping, and it quickly said, "What is a meringue harangue?" And that's pretty impressive.
Wow.
And Jennings and Rudder didn't get that, and Watson got a higher score than the two of them combined. They're the best players in the world. And it got its...
But there's also the factor of the folly of the human brain. We learn stuff, but we also forget stuff. The thing that a computer has over us is that so long as the physical hard drives are not deteriorating, that information is just sitting there ready and available to be grabbed. Like if we were always able to grab any piece of information from our own psyche without having to fight over it, be like, what was that again? Oh man, I know this, I just can't remember it. If we did not have that getting in our way, then the computers wouldn't be beating us. The biggest advantage is that when you save a bit of information, I have like wedding photos and all kinds of stuff, and basically a huge history of stuff just on my hard drive right here. And it's not going anywhere so long as this hard drive doesn't die. And then I'll get another hard drive and back up the information on that and stuff like that, and it'll be there. So long as the physical hardware is not damaged, it's going to be there. For our brains, it doesn't matter if we never suffered any kind of brain damage and everything. Over time, we just forget stuff. We lose information. And I feel like that's the problem. If we didn't have that holding us back, then computers wouldn't be beating us so easily at these memory games, at these trivias, at anything that involves gathering information, utilizing information, or remembering information.
Knowledge, not by being programmed with all this information by the engineers, but by reading Wikipedia and several other encyclopedias, 200 million pages of natural language documents.
All on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I don't fear it because it's already happening. Like you said, it happens. It's not a cliff.
We're on that road, and
it's a road that we're on, and I see it, and I embrace it. Actually,
it's a good road. I mean, if you compare human life today with all of its problems, it's far better than it was in the past, and it's going to keep moving in that direction.
Good road to be on, and you help us predict what the road signs will look like.
Working on it.
Right, it's been a delight.
Yeah,
it's been delightful.
Definitely.
So you have cured me of my skepticism of where you're coming from and where you're going. Okay. Until I see your basement, I want to know what you're working on.
You'll never see that.
Great stuff. All right. Oh man. So a lot to talk about there. The human brain versus AI versus everything else, the growth of technology and society, and comparing the fact that we are machines, even though we try to act like we're not, and everything, what's inside of us that keeps us going. All of this, you can lose your arm, lose your leg, you can lose a lot of your organs and still function so long as you get the right medical attention and keep you going. So yeah, we are very much machines in that sense. And so to see a machine catching up to us can be scary to some, but to others, it's like, yeah, it's happening. It's gonna happen. But yeah, great video. That one was like 9 years ago. The one that you originally suggested is like 2 years ago, but it's like almost an hour long, so we are gonna get to that one at a later date. But yeah, great video. Definitely got to see more of these two. going back and forth and everything, because very educational, very enlightening. But all right, y'all know what to do. Go down in the comment section, let me know what y'all thought about this one. Let me know if you'd like to see me react to next. Hit that like button before you go. Share this video with everyone you know. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you really feel like supporting this platform, consider joining that Patreon, all right? All right, now. So, till next time, take care of yourselves. And I'm out of here. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much for joining, Saint, and anybody else who was watching in the background that did not jump inside the chat. Thank you so much for watching. We are going to close this out for now. Next stream is going to be Monday, starting between 10:30-ish, most likely closer to 10:30-ish. And then we're going to get into that long 45-minute video. It's going to be a reaction video, so you're not going to be pausing. So expect to be like an hour and a half of us going through that. But definitely going to do it because I'm a huge fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson. I am a science enthusiast. I'm not a scientist. Don't ask me a whole bunch of complex questions. I won't be able to answer them. But I believe in education and science and everything. So definitely, going to continue pushing reactions, especially since I can't really react to music anymore. But anyway, we're going to get to that one Monday, and we're going to continue on from there, right? And if anybody else has any suggestions, you guys can go and put up posts on the community page and stuff like that on what you would like to see me check out. But otherwise, that's going to be it for now. I'm going to catch you guys later. All right, so you guys take care of yourselves. All right, now I'm out of here. All right, take care.